What does it feel like when the greatest player on the planet reminds the world, all at once, exactly who he is? Not with a press conference. Not with a contract announcement. Not with a trophy on a podium. But with one swing. One crack of the bat. One ball disappearing into the night sky before anyone in the stadium even had time to blink. That's what Shohei Ohtani did. Again. His fourth home run of the season. A leadoff blast. Cold. Calculated. Devastating. And somewhere in the stands, in the dugouts, in living rooms around the world, legends who have seen everything this game has to offer stood up and said exactly what the rest of us were already thinking. See? That's what a superstar is. But here's the thing. If you think this moment was about a home run, you're missing the real story entirely. The cameras caught the swing. Every highlight reel in the world played it on repeat. The exit velocity. The launch angle. The distance. The roar of the crowd. But what the cameras didn't catch, what they never catch with Ohtani, was everything that happened before that ball ever left the pitcher's hand. Because Ohtani doesn't just hit home runs. He plans them. Not in an arrogant way. Not in the way of someone who walks to the plate believing he's better than everyone else. But in the quiet, disciplined, almost unsettling way of someone who has already done the work so thoroughly that the result almost feels inevitable. Think about it this way. When most players step into the batter's box for the very first at-bat of the game, a leadoff situation, high pressure, the entire stadium watching, they are reacting. Reading the pitcher. Trusting their instincts. Hoping their timing is right. When Ohtani steps into that same box, he has already had that at-bat. Dozens of times. In his mind. The night before. That morning. During warm-ups. He has already seen the pitcher's tendencies, studied the counts where he goes to his fastball, identified the exact moment of vulnerability. So when that pitch came, and it came exactly where Ohtani expected it, there was no hesitation. There was only execution. Crack. That's not just athleticism. That's mastery. There's something the casual fan doesn't fully appreciate about a leadoff home run. It's not just a run on the scoreboard. It's a statement. In baseball, the leadoff at-bat sets the psychological tone for the entire game. The pitcher walks to the mound carrying confidence, momentum, a plan. The catcher has called his game. The fielders are settled. Everything is organized. And then, before a single out is recorded, before the game has even properly begun, Ohtani steps in and destroys all of that. Not just the scoreline. The mood. The opposing pitcher now has to recalibrate everything. The catcher has to rethink his strategy. The entire defense feels it, that slight shift in energy, that quiet but undeniable message being sent across the diamond. We are behind. He did it again. And that psychological blow? For Ohtani's team, it's fuel. Pure, instant, electrifying fuel. This is why legends react the way they do when they see it happen. It's not just excitement. It's recognition. The recognition of someone who understands the game at its deepest level watching another person operate at that same depth, and execute flawlessly. See? That's what a superstar is. Yes. Exactly that. Now let's talk about the number. For home runs. Some people will read that and shrug. In a long baseball season, for home runs doesn't sound like a headline. Some sluggers hit 4 in a single week during a hot streak. But context changes everything. This is Ohtani we're talking about. A man who, let's not forget, is operating under a level of physical, mental, and public scrutiny that no other player in the modern era has had to manage. Every at-bat is analyzed. Every swing is debated. Every slight slump becomes a national conversation. And yet, for home runs into the season, he's already producing moments that are being called game-changing. Already producing swings that are pulling reactions from the greatest players to ever lace up cleats. That's not a slow start. That's a man operating at his own pace. His own rhythm. His own standard. Because here's what people forget about Ohtani: he doesn't chase milestones. Milestones chase him. He doesn't wake up thinking about how many home runs he needs to hit to impress someone. He wakes up thinking about his routine. His preparation. The details of the opposing pitcher he'll face that afternoon. The specific nutrients his body needs to perform at its peak. The home runs are simply the output of a process that most people never see and wouldn't fully understand even if they did. Legends compared this moment to the WBC. And that comparison wasn't made lightly. The World Baseball Classic is the highest pressure international stage the sport has to offer. Every country sends its best. Every game carries a weight that goes beyond the regular season. And in that environment, with the eyes of an entire nation watching, with the pressure of expectations that most athletes would crumble under, Ohtani delivered some of the most memorable moments in the tournament's history. A leadoff home run in that stage? It sent a message not just to the opposing team. It sent a message to the entire baseball world. And the fact that legends are now drawing a direct line between that WBC performance and this, a regular season game in April, tells you everything you need to know about the weight of what Ohtani just did. He didn't just hit a home run. He replicated a feeling. A standard. A level of performance that most players reach once, maybe twice in their entire careers, during their absolute peak, and then spend years trying to get back to. Ohtani reaches it on a Tuesday night in April. In the leadoff spot. And then he goes back to the dugout, sits down, and prepares for his next at-bat. No celebration that lingers too long. No moment of self-congratulation that takes him out of the game mentally. Just, process. Routine. Next pitch. That's what the legends are reacting to. That's what they recognize. Here's a scene most people never hear about. During the early hours before a game, before the stadium fills, before the cameras are rolling, before the crowd noise builds to its peak, Ohtani is already working. Not in a frantic, desperate way. Not in the way of someone trying to prove something. But in the calm, methodical way of someone who has been doing this since before he was old enough to shave. His preparation is meticulous to a degree that even his own teammates find difficult to fully absorb. The dietary discipline alone, the precise calculation of nutrients, the separation of what his body needs to build strength versus what it needs to maintain lean performance, is more structured than most professional athletes' entire training programs. He studies opposing pitchers the way scholars study texts. Not casually. Not briefly. But deeply, repeatedly, until the tendencies become second nature and the recognition happens automatically at game speed. And then there's the mental side. The part that never makes highlights but drives everything that does. The ability to step into a high-pressure at-bat, leadoff, first inning, entire stadium holding its breath, and feel nothing except focus. No nerves that override the plan. No ego that makes him try to do too much. Just clean, clear, prepared execution. That combination, physical excellence plus mental discipline plus relentless preparation, is what separates Ohtani from players who have similar athletic gifts but never reach his level of consistency. Talent gets you to the plate. Preparation decides what happens when you get there. When a legend says, "See," that's what a superstar is. They are not talking about the home run. They are talking about everything behind the home run. They are talking about a player who performs in the moments that matter most. Who shows up when the pressure is highest. Who doesn't shrink from the spotlight, but also doesn't need the spotlight. Who is equally focused whether the stadium is full or empty, whether the game is on the line or not. True superstars, the ones who last, the ones whose names are still spoken with reverence decades after they retire, are not defined by their best days. They are defined by their consistency. And Ohtani, for home runs into a brand new season, is already giving every indication that 2025 will be another chapter in a career that is redefining what we thought was possible in this sport. The legends see it. They always see it. Because they've been there. They know what it looks like from the inside, the level of sacrifice, discipline, and mental strength required to perform at that level, in that moment, with everything on the line. And when they see Ohtani do it, effortlessly, routinely, as if he was simply doing what he was always meant to do, they can't help themselves. See? That's what a superstar is. We are only weeks into the 2025 season. 4 home runs. 1 leadoff blast that sent legends into eruption. A game-changing moment that immediately drew comparisons to the biggest international stage the sport has to offer. And the season is just getting started. If Ohtani's history tells us anything, and it tells us a great deal, it's that these early moments are not anomalies. They are signals. Early indicators of what's being built, quietly and deliberately, over the course of a long season. The players who truly understand the game aren't just impressed by the home run. They're studying what it represents. They're watching the routine. They're observing the preparation. They're asking the same question that Ohtani has forced the baseball world to ask over and over again. How does he do it? And the answer, as always, is not as dramatic as the moment itself. He does it because he prepares better than anyone. He does it because his discipline is non-negotiable. He does it because every decision he makes, what he eats, how he rests, how he studies, how he carries himself in the dugout, is made with one singular purpose. To be the best. Not one of the best. The best. A leadoff home run in April. His 4th of the season. For most players, that would be a highlight reel moment to talk about for weeks. For Ohtani, it's Tuesday. And that, more than the exit velocity, more than the distance, more than the crowd noise and the legend's reaction, that is what makes Shohei Ohtani different. The game hasn't even truly begun yet. And he's already telling you exactly what this season is going to look like.